was a summer day, and I was playing in the backyard. My mom had to run some errands, so of course I stalled and waited till she was walking out of the door until I finally asked to join her. "Did you shut the sliding door?" she asked. Not remembering or caring at all, I said yes, and on our day we went. We arrived back home sometime early evening around 6. As we enter the house, the sliding door is wide open. Of course, my mom scolds me, and truly not remembering, apologize and go about my business. As the night winds down, my mom tucks me in and goes downstairs to run a bath. So like any 5-year-old, the last thing I do is go to sleep. As I lay on my bed, playing with micro machines and making goofy kid noises, I feel my bed move slightly. I immediately pause and look around. I quickly dismiss it and go about my usual kid business. A few minutes later, the end of the bed lifts up and slams back down. Of course, I did what any 5-year-old would do and scream like a fucking banshee. Then the dark room, my bed starts moving and a shadow slowly tries to rise from the foot of my bed. I stood up and jumped all the way to the door to meet Mom mid-stairs. As I hysterically tell my mom what happened, we run to the kitchen and quietly call 911. We kept it short and ran to the car and waited outside for the police. As we wait, we see my upstairs light turn on, then the hallway, then the stairway. After a minute, the police came screeching in. They flew into the house and searched it to no avail. The cops said we probably walked in as the intruder was trying to rob the place, although nothing was touched or disturbed. Needless to say, I didn't sleep in my room for a month, and now every time I get home at night, I always turn on every light and check every crevice. Thanks a lot, creepy burglar. I hope we do not meet again. I am a 15-year-old female, and this happened to me when I was about 11. Just to give you a bit of background, my dad used to live in quite a rough part of town. One day we had to go shopping, so my dad was just taking out some money from the cash machine. He told me and my sister to go sit on this wall so we could take some photos of us smiling. While we were just looking around, this guy came up to us. He was wearing a hoodie and had a cap pulled over his head. But the first thing I noticed was he had a huge scar down his face. "Those are nice photos," he said. My dad says thanks and then turns around. Then he says, "Are you sure they are your daughters? They don't look like you." My dad looked kind of puzzled. "I hope you haven't taken them," he said suspiciously. My dad just takes it as a joke, but then says it's time we went home. The guy tagged along with us. They're just talking when he says, "Why don't I come back to your place?" I remember gripping onto my sister's hand when he said that. I give my dad a fleeting look, and he says he can't because we have to get home for our tea. He pauses, but then goes in to give my dad a hug. I held my breath when he did that because he had his hand tucked in his jacket, so I thought he might have had a knife. He steps back and asks if he could give the little girls a hug too, with this creepy smile on his face. My dad said a firm no, so he wishes us a good day and then walks off. I didn't think too much of it until a few weeks later when we were just sitting in the car when these two guys asked us for some money. My dad said he didn't have any and then went into a shop. I got quite nervous, but then I noticed that one of the guys was him. He smiles at me. "That's a nice steering wheel," he says, running his hand along it. He fiddled with the door. It would have been easy for him just to get in. My dad sees what's going on and jumps into the car and quickly rolls up the windows. He turns on the engine and drives off, and the guys have to jump out of the way. I might have imagined it, but I think they threw some things at the car as we drove. So the creepy Scarface guy who tried to get in that car with us let's not meet again. Let me start this by saying that my room is in the attic, and instead of having a door, I have a small stairway leading to my room. Right when you go down the stairs, the living room is there. I can hear everything downstairs, usually because this house is old and everything creaks. If you walk through the living room and past the kitchen to the right, there is a door leading to another stairway with two doors and then our backyard. My dad and brother never locked these doors for some reason, and today was one day I forgot to lock them. It's 2 in the morning and I won't be sleeping for the rest of the night. I woke up an hour ago, wide awake, after spending all day in the hot sun at Valley Fair. I'm not sure why I woke up, but I got up to my cats bolting up the stairs and very freaked out. And then I heard someone walking very quietly into our living room. I know it wasn't either my dad or my brother because they sob when they walk, and this person was trying very hard not to be heard. And then they stopped in the middle of the living room, just stayed still for what seemed like 10 minutes. I was frozen, thinking maybe I'm just being paranoid, or maybe it was the dog, but I didn't hear the door open to let them upstairs, so it couldn't have been him. And then they walked out the back door and closed it. That was it. They didn't try to step quietly that time. They walked out the back door, closed it loudly, and they were gone. It took me a few minutes to call my dad and brother from my room. They were both asleep, though, so they didn't answer. I found the courage to grab my knife and go downstairs. I locked the back door and went to wake up my dad. We checked and nothing was missing. Thankfully, it makes more obvious that someone in our house because the gate was also unlocked and barely closed when we went to check. We live in a very bad neighborhood where there are plenty of druggies, so it is possible that one of them was out of their mind and wandered in, but they're usually very loud. So creepy person who stood in my living room, fuck off and let's not meet again.